Let me ask you a question. Does the bar have to touch your chest when you're doing bench press? That's what we're going to unpack in this video. We're going to also unpack how to bench press to be as strong as possible and to build as much muscle as possible. And if the bar doesn't have to touch your chest, which we don't even know yet, why wouldn't it touch the chest? First, let's go over the technique of the bench press, some fundamentals that we want to focus on. First of all, I'm going to start with the feet. So when we're setting up on the bench press, before we even think of getting the bar, you have to understand that we're trying to create a really strong base. A really good general rule to follow with strength is the more stable you are, the more strong you're going to be able to be. So, some people, when they first begin benching, like to just push through their heels and just have their feet flat like this. That is okay, but it's not the strongest position that you can be in. What we want to do is actually bring our heels closer to our butt and then actually come up onto our toes. Now, even though we're on our toes, we still want to drive our heels into the floor. And we want to externally rotate our knees and drive them out because that helps us to keep our shoulder blades back and down, which is going to be cues for the upper body. And when we're out here and we're really strong like this, we're pushing our heels into the ground, but we're on our toes, and we're also squeezing our glutes. This is also known as leg drive. So keeping our feet pushing through the floor and also our glutes squeezed, we have 3 points of stability. Now, if I was to go like this and just put my legs up off the floor and I'm benching, I can still bench, but I'm never going to be as strong because I'm less stable. Same thing, if I was to be crazy and have one leg on the floor, then I wouldn't be able to be as strong because I'm less stable. So, this is your position here. Try to bring your heels as close as you can to your butt and then push through your heels into the floor and squeeze your butt. That is your position with your lower body. So now we got this covered. Now we're gonna go through the upper body. So what I like to do here, before I even touch the bar once again, if you're lifting on your own, you want to line up your eyes with the bar, your eyes or your forehead. And then with your hands, you find your comfortable grip. Now this is going to depend. Obviously, if you're doing a close grip bench press, you're gonna be focusing more on triceps. If you're going to a more general stance, that's going to be, or just like outside shoulder width, then that's going to be more of a standard bench press. If you go really wide, sometimes that can be helpful because it decreases the range of motion if you're going powerlifting style. But I do find that it does cause a bit of discomfort for my shoulders when I do that. So find whatever works for you. So I'm just going to go, I've got 2 rings here and 2 rings here. So what I always like to do on this bar is wrap this finger around the first one, around the first ring. Now, before I even lift the bar, I have my grip and it's lined up with my eyes. So I can just straighten my arms and bring the bar out, and then we come out here to pretty much just in line with my mouth or my nose. Now, when I'm going down on my bench press, I want to make sure that it's coming down and landing on my sternum. I don't want it to land on my neck. I don't want it to land on the top of my chest. I also don't want it to land too low on my body because then this is going to be hard to press from, and this is also going to be hard to press from as well as being pretty dangerous. So we want to touch it on our sternum. But you'll notice that your sternum is actually lower on your body than the starting point of the barbell. And that's important because it's going to actually create an arc. Instead of the barbell just going straight up and down, it's going to create an arc. And that is completely fine. You might find that it actually feels better just going up and down. You can do whatever feels best for you. But often the arc is going to be a stronger place to be. Now we have the bar path, we have the width of the grip, but we also have to address something when we're grabbing the barbell. When we're grabbing the barbell, we don't want the barbell to sit in the top of our hands to make our wrists fall back like this. That's not a strong position. We want to be nice and strong, so when we're lifting, we have a nice straight line through our bones here. If our bones are tilted, this is going to create stress on our wrist joint. If we have a nice straight arm like this, then we can carry as much load as possible. And with the bench press, that's the goal of the exercise pretty much, to train as much weight as we can for the chest, shoulders, and tricep. Obviously, if you're doing a powerlifting competition, it's just about being strong, getting a weight from A to B, but we also want to do that correctly. When we're grabbing the barbell, see, I don't just want to grab it like that. What I like to do is line up the bones that go through the forearm to be nice and straight. So I actually kind of push the palm of my hand, which is going to be the strongest point. This point along here, that's going to be the strongest point. This, not strong. This, much stronger. So this is nice and strong. as opposed to something like this, where the weight is going straight down this way, but my wrist is going like this. I want to be completely fighting the weight. That's going to make me really strong. So I get the hardest part of my hands underneath the bar first, and then I grip around that so that when I'm out here, as you can see, when I come down into my bench press position, my arms are straight up and down. They're perpendicular to the floor, as opposed to being, let's say, like that. That's over exaggeration, but this is not what we want. And we also don't want it the other way where it falls forward. That's not gonna be great. Nice and strong, straight up and down, and easy pushing motion. If we want to be as strong as possible and lift like a powerlifter, we want to create a pretty decent arch in our back, which is going to limit the range of motion. But in a powerlifting bench press, the barbell will have to touch the chest. If you don't touch your chest, then the lift doesn't count. You have to wait until it's sitting on your sternum and then they cause lift, then you lift. So this is what a powerlifting setup looks like for the bench press. This is how I personally like to bench press, even though I'm not a powerlifter, because it allows me to lift the most weight possible. So I get my grips in first. My feet are nice and strong. Shoulder blades back and down. So what I'm thinking is driving my armpits down to my hips. So I'm doing this. Shoulder blades back and down. So if I was to sit up like this, and you can see me side on, my shoulder blades are going back and down like that. My scapula is retracting and depressing. That's the position that we want for the bench press. Shoulder blades back and down, feet in place. Now we straighten our arms. Bring the weight out, and see how I have this arch in my lower back here. Not my lower back, but this arch in my chest. This allows me to lift a smaller range of motion than I would do if I was like this and my back was flat. So I'm in this position, and this position helps me to lock my shoulder blades back and down. 1, 2, hitting the sternum, press. 1, 2, hitting the sternum, and press. And then I would just rack like that. That's the powerlifting bench press. Now, we're going to look at the bodybuilding bench press. And there's only one real major difference, and that is the arching of the back. So let me show you. With bodybuilding, if we limit the range of motion, that exercise is going to be less effective as an exercise with more range of motion. So if we come here and stop, we're only stretching the chest out and the shoulders out and the tricep out this much. However, if I bench with a bit of a flatter back and I'm here, then I'm getting more range of motion, which allows me to get a deeper stretch in my chest, deeper stretch in my shoulders, and deeper stretch in my triceps, push back up, and that's going to be better for building muscle because I'm taking my muscles through a fuller range of motion, which is going to help me recruit more muscle fibers. And if I pair that with training really close to failure, this is an amazing recipe to build muscle on the bench press. With the powerlifting bench press and the bodybuilding bench press, we want to touch the bar on the chest. We have to win a powerlifting competition anyway, so you want to get in good habits if you're a powerlifter. But if you're just a lifter that wants to get as jacked as possible, doing a bench press with more range of motion is going to be better for the reasons of taking your muscles through a larger range of motion, which is going to help prevent injury, but it's also going to help you recruit more muscle fibers per rep and allow you to build more muscle mass if you're training close to failure. But there is one reason why. We'd want to stop the bench press halfway through or about an inch away from your chest in the bench press, so the bar would not touch the chest. But this is a specific scenario if you want to strengthen your bench where it gets difficult. The hardest part in the bench press, as you fatigue and as you get tired, is generally the lockout, because that's going to be when your triceps come into action and it's no longer on your chest. Your chest is stronger than your triceps. So when we usually get to halfway, that's usually when we're doing our 1 rep max or a 3 rep max. When we come down, we push, we get about here, and then we shake and we shake and we shake and we shake, and we fail the rep. So if you're trying to strengthen your bench press, what we're going to do is something called a Spoto press. So we're going to come down to halfway or just 1 inch above the chest and then push up. And you're going to explode up because you're trying to repair this hole in your bench press that you have when you're trying to lock out. So you're going to come down, 1, 2, and then press. 1, 2, and then press. 1, 2, and then press. For a powerlifter, this can be an exercise that's regularly in a bench pressing strengthening program. However, you can also use it as an accessory, as a bodybuilder or just someone that lifts, to help aid your bench press if you just seem to not be able to get past that point when you're lifting weights and trying to get stronger. Because an important part of building muscle is actually improving your strength as well. So you may have to, instead of doing the best bench press for building muscle, the full range of motion bench press, you may have to do the Spoto press every now and then just to make sure that your lockout continues to get stronger. Another option is the floor press. The floor press is also a great accessory exercise to strengthen your bench press, like the Spoto press, because it stops you at that sticking point in your bench press that gets difficult to push through. So once again, we're going to get our grip, bring it out, shoulder blades back and down. Your feet can be up here, they're not out here. We still want that nice strong stability. We can't bring our heels and go on our toes because we need to keep our butt down on the floor. Now with this lift, we're coming down as if we were going to hit our sternum, and then once we hit the floor, we're going to push up. 1, 2. Similar to the Spoto press, but you literally can't get any lower. And the bigger arms you have or bigger triceps you have, the less range of motion you're going to have. From a coach's perspective, I do prefer the Spoto press because it's more realistic. When you're doing a bench press, there's no floor by your elbows. You're not getting stopped at that point by something physical. You're just stopping there by choice, and that's more realistic than the sticking point when you can't get a lift in the bench press. When you can't get a lift, there's nothing there that's stopping you. You can't push off anything. It's literally just your elbows hanging in the air and you relying on your chest, shoulders, and triceps to push that weight up, which is why I prefer the Spoto press. Every time you're doing a bench press, whether it's to be a better powerlifter or to build as much muscle as possible, you want the barbell to hit the chest. However, if you're finding that you just can't get through that sticking point on your bench press, then you can use the Spoto press or the floor press to help break you through that plateau and increase the weight that you can lift. If you found this video helpful, then you'll also find this video helpful, which I created to help you get a deeper squat with a quick 10-minute routine.